If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. And this morning, the thing that I like about it, by giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great. Because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know about Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics in physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace. Soul generated by love. And you can be that servant.
My name is Jennie Kennedy. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a fourth-year international affairs major with a political science minor. Currently, I'm the president of Pride Alliance, the vice president of student life in SGA, a GT1000 team leader in the diversity section, and other sort of roles I occupy sort of go back to those three things.
My name is Sean Alexander. I'm a first-year business student.
My name is Emma Blandford. I started here about 2 years ago, and I work for the College of Sciences as an assistant director overseeing the Explore Living Learning community.
My name is Marvin Lewis. I'm the associate athletic director for administration and finance.
So my name is Dania Ibrahim. I'm currently a third-year neuroscience major, minoring in health and medical sciences and Middle Eastern studies. I really love my position as a student staff member in housing and work in Center Street apartments, and I get to work with a culmination of second, third, and fourth, and fifth-year students. So all across the board, getting to have residents that are older and younger, learning from them and hopefully getting to teach them and also make them feel comfortable within housing.
My name's Carrie White. I am currently the Associate Director in Undergraduate Education, and my primary work is with Living Learning Communities.
Marco Tupac Colcido, and I'm a Master's of Cybersecurity major.
I think part of the idea of what a beloved community is stems from this mutual support and this concept of love for one another, not despite, but because of who people are.
So when I think about a beloved community and the fierceness of now, I think about our students that are standing up there protesting. I think about our students who, the moment something happens, they're taking to the internet, they're taking to social media, they're trying to get more information.
When I hear the word now, that's what jumps out for me is what are we doing each and every day to not just talk about what we aspire to have, but what actions are we taking right now?
And so when MLK says that there is a fierce urgency to act, I believe in that because every single day that we aren't acting, every single day that we are letting injustices pass by, we are letting them get worse.
We're all gathered to be running 26.2 miles today. This is my first. Everybody on the team has run different amounts. Hey, good morning, good morning. We're gonna see how this goes. We're gonna hope for a good finish and a strong day, all for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund.
I would tell you for me, I think it starts with how I interact, how I engage, how I communicate with others, even if it's something as simple as who I have in a meeting. I want diverse perspectives in the meeting. I need to have multiple opinions and backgrounds in those conversations. And so that's how I can start, going back to that now statement, and hopefully I can spread a message that others can do the same.
The changes that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. brought into this country, this world, kind of keep in mind like the sort of ways in which we want to honor those type of people and take along their message with the idea that it's not easy and that there isn't always going to be a one clear-cut path.
So I remember distinctly being an undergraduate student in Connecticut, right around the time when gay marriage was being voted on. And I remember being physically in the streets of Hartford, Connecticut, the day that we were waiting for the verdict to be announced, and that feeling of almost weightlessness the moment that we heard the verdict go in the way that we were hoping that it would. And And that is my hope for our students, that they're able to see some of these things that they are passionate about come to life.
Conversations really have changed the world. It's opened my mind to people on a personal level, and it's opened my mind to entire groups at a time from seeing how somebody could represent that group. And so by sitting down and being willing to open your mind and being willing to have those conversations, we are changing the world one person at a time.
But in my own community, again, I think it's me leading by example and making sure that those that are around me are diverse, have a different background and perspective. So just to give you a personal example, my fiance and I, we host Sunday dinners. And we have multiple groups of friends that end up coming to those dinners. And traditionally, those groups of friends wouldn't spend time together. It's been amazing to see how people let their guards down, how people allow themselves to be vulnerable because there's a safe space.
Activism isn't necessarily an occupation, but rather something that everybody should be participating in. There are so many different testimonies, there's so many different ways that both administrators, faculty members, and students themselves tell their story. And that is a great way for people to understand and then ultimately advocate for people other than themselves. So in that cause, that could manifest in ways such as understanding why people are talking about mental health on campus, why Black students still don't feel like they have a place where they are fully being valued for what they contribute to the Institute, and why LGBTQIA students still feel like there's work to be done when it comes to making sure that their existence is celebrated and welcomed at Georgia Tech.
I feel like the biggest thing about people going head-to-head with social activism is that people misunderstand each other a lot. So what we tried doing the best this semester was actually educating people on what undocumented meant, or what we see social activism as. With the undocumented bill, a lot of students just thought they were illegal and stuff like that. You have dreamers, it's so nuanced. They didn't realize that they were also, that undocumented immigrants actually have to pay millions of dollars in tax every year just locally, and not even counting national taxes, because they do hope to become nationalized, so they do pay taxes. It's not like they're living off of welfare. There's a lot of miscommunication.
I think that the area where I've spent the most of my time and energy being an activist here at Georgia Tech would be within the Pride Employee Resource Group. Still actively involved, but I really enjoyed having an opportunity to participate in that group with staff and faculty, and be a part of something that allowed folks who might be interested in coming out at work or who are already out at work a place to gather and talk, and professional development around issues that concern us and that are particular to the LGBTQ community.
So I was running this marathon for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. It was around mile 18 when I started really feeling the effects of my legs just giving up on me. I had no power in them at all anymore. And I looked over at my roommate who was running with me, and she looked me straight in the eye and she said, "Remember why you're running this? Remember why we did this in the first place?" And she asked me to say it out loud. You know, out of breath, I'm standing there. Okay, we're running this for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. And I had to remind myself that, like, finishing this wasn't only for me, it was also for them. I wasn't raising money for me, I was raising money for them. I wasn't raising it for any kind of glorified position that I would be in, and I wasn't running 26 miles for any kind of glorified position that I would be in. That's a very miserable thing to do just to feel better about yourself. But I was doing it because what I was doing meant something, because the more miles that I ran, the more likely people were to look into the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, from the name on the back of my shirt, from telling them that I ran for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, from telling them, oh, you donated this many dollars to each mile that I did. Well, I finished the 26.2, and that money is going to something that I care a lot about. And she said, remember Hanan, remember these names of the kids that you looked into before you started running this race. And that changed everything for me.
Within the EDM community, electronic dance music, what a lot of people haven't really been seeing, like they'll just focus on the music and it's just sounds, there's no lyrics, there's no meaning. But like the whole concept between, for our community, the electronic dance community, we go by the acronym PLUR, which stands for Peace, Love, Unity, and Respect. And those are like the 4 things that we believe are like would bring people together. So I feel like if people, like people that don't listen to EDM, if you could just like follow those 4 principles, I feel like they'll push us a whole lot closer to what Martin Luther King was pushing for back then. Because like the unity, which is what the U stands for, we don't see any difference between other people. We're just there for the music. So it doesn't matter what you look like, what you sound like, just what your background was. Just we're all there as like just one whole group. We're just there to have fun just for those 4 hours that we all have with each other. And so it's like one big family.
You know, in this social climate and all the things that we have going on right now, empathy, acceptance, love, I mean, that's a part of, to me, a beloved community, and those are things that need to be not just spoken about, but put into action.
And I think that urgency that now is really hitting this generation in a way that I have not yet seen.
If we understand one another, we will be a lot more likely to love one another. If we understand one another, we can celebrate our differences instead of hating them.
And everyone should have a sense of urgency to be passionate about what they're passionate about. Just don't say like, oh yeah, I'll help in the future when I have time or when I have money to help support a cause.
I think that MLK was a fierce leader, and also knowing the time that he was in, he was an enemy of the state. And thinking about exactly what it means to be a leader, it doesn't always mean that you're going to get the most support. But staying steadfast and doing what you believe is right, and believing in the true liberation of the people is really what is the core of what it means to continue in the face of adversity.
If you want to be important, wonderful.
If you want to be recognized, wonderful.
If you want to be great, wonderful.
But recognize that he who is the greatest among you shall be your servant.
That's a new definition of greatness. By giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great.
You don't have to have a college degree to serve.
You don't have to know about Plato or Aristotle to serve.
You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve.
You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve.
You only need a heart full of grace.
A soul generated by love.
And you can be that servant.